One of the reasons that the Dutch Essay Chamber found that we could bring in someone like Alex is, you may have already felt it, he's very authentic. And I find it very refreshing, especially given the work that I do with senior executive teams and middle management teams, how well he reflects on himself and is able to also, either make himself funny, or allow people to see that he can actually be also quirky, but also have that sort of be open, like tell me feedback, how can I do better as a leader to you. So just to really, it seems like really that one bottle shop experience has really led you on a path to really be very, very self-reflective. So if you could just expand a little bit more on that, knowing that quite a few people here in the room can also inspire and lead others just by watching their demeanor and their philosophy.
Yeah, thanks, Bram. It's interesting to hear an insight back on yourself like what you've just given me. I'm still just chewing through that. But I wasn't even planning on telling the story about the bottle shop. It wasn't in my preamble to do that, but when I got up here I just felt like I just remembered that was a real turning point. That and also Willa making me cut off my dreadlocks before I went to Amsterdam. So I had dreads down to my back here, and it's a big change. I went from surfing, you're a surfer yourself, but no dreads, to corporate athlete, as I've said. So look, I'm not quite sure how to answer your question, but definitely that experience resonates with me to say, well, that's how I don't want people to see me. So I really try to use that as an insight, self-insight, and always try to critically analyse myself at the end of each day. Have a quick look at my diary and say, what could have I done better? A couple of key questions that I ask successful people are always, how did you do it, and how would you get there quicker if you could do it again? And that's always a very stimulating thought once you ask those questions. Look, I mean, yeah, it's an interesting path to real estate. So and I went down that path, and now I'm fully engulfed into it, and I love it, Bram.
It sounds like vulnerability is not a weakness in your view. It's perhaps even a strength.
Oh, look, I mean, yeah, I think that particularly in real estate, there's a lot of ego in real estate, and we're making a conscious effort to put all the ego aside and just try to be just people. Be straight talking, tell it as it is, break down the barriers of communication, we want to be the easiest agents to do business with in Adelaide. None of this, the price, you work it out, none of that stuff that agents really annoy you with. We want to furnish them with all their detail, everything they need to make decisions. So we want to be very transparent with that, and I think that showing some vulnerability and honesty is part of that.
There you go. Well spoken. Any questions that you guys may have about real estate? Or yes, great.
Yeah, I'll jump in just quickly with an easy one. You just touched on yourself there. Two questions you ask anyone successfully is how'd you do it, which you've answered. How would you do it quicker? Not that 18 months and 2 times 14 is great, but
yeah, I probably could have started the business sooner.
Yeah.
I probably could have, but yeah, I'm quite happy with where we are now. Things happen for a reason, and I'm quite content where we are. So for me, that question is probably not quite as valid because I'm really enjoying where we are now. I think if it happened any sooner, I might have missed out on some of the good things that I learnt before we got to where we are. I think the School of Hard Knocks is an interesting school to study because you have to have some failures before you get successes. Because particularly the ones that hit your back pocket, then you remember them a lot more. Very interesting. I asked that question, but I've never analysed it on myself, so I'll get back to you on that one.
Thanks for that question, Craig. Someone else? Simon.
Thanks, Alex. That was really, really powerful. I was particularly interested in using the first 2 hours of every day to clear your head and only allow positive input. Can you think back to before you did that, and how that's actually changed your effectiveness on a daily and weekly basis?
Massively. If I had to put a percentage on it, it might have doubled my potential output. The other thing is I'm a big believer in, rather than time management, it's energy management. So it's using your energy levels for the right things at the right times during the day. So I'll try to run at a pretty high level energy from 8 in the morning till probably 11:30, really get a lot done. And then because we're situated on the parklands in East Terrace, I'll go for a walk into the parklands and even sit on the bench and just contemplate or meditate for 15 minutes, and then just really settle myself back down again, and that's recharging the batteries up. And then I can come back in the office again, and the 25 or 26 staff that have got questions at you all the time, I feel a lot more equipped to deal with them. So for me, it's about energy management the whole time, rather than time management. Anyone can work from 7 in the morning till 10 at night. But as Bram says, that's being busy. We can all be busy, but it's about being productive. So I find that I get the most productivity when I've got those short bursts of energy recover. And there's a lot in that when you look at some of the famous tennis players. They walk back, I think it's not Rafael Nadal, the other guy from Sweden that's name escapes me. He's been the champion for many years. He always walks back and he's adjusting the strings on his tennis racket, and he's not actually adjusting the strings because they're crooked. He's just regrouping. That's his mind going away from tennis, regrouping, energy control, and then go back to the next point. So I look at that throughout the day and how we can maximise that energy control. And it's made a huge difference. And I started doing that more in the last 2 years out of necessity. I had to actually, for the first time in my life, I had a little bit of anxiety creeping in because of that high level of tension. And then I went and did a meditation course, and that really, for me, it was like, those little snow domes that you shake up. That was me. And then when it settled down again, that was after doing a meditation or clearing my mind. So massively important. Excellent.
Question? Someone else?
How have your energy levels gone since your daughter was born?
Thanks, Bruce. Well, Murphy's Law, she's been wonderful up until last night. So we had an important session this morning in the office, and then tonight, very important. And last night she was up all night. The energy levels today were probably a little bit flatter. So I'm looking forward to a drink with you all afterwards. Thanks, Bruce.
Alex, another time we spoke, you mentioned about the importance of looking after buyers rather than sellers.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. The Adelaide marketplace has always just sort of ignored buyers. They've always just want the sellers. Where's my next listing coming from? And if you've ever been in the market looking to buy, how often do agents actually ring you back and say, we've got this property for you, you should look at this one? It just doesn't happen, or very rarely. So we took it upon ourselves to just flip it, do it totally differently, just service buyers without any view of any other thing from getting back from them other than just helping them. So we even tell them about other agents' listings. So if we think a property will suit them, we'll give them a call and say, look, Toop and Toop have got this property, it might suit you. I'm sure the Toops have already given you a call, knowing that they haven't. And that also gives you points. So, and then that just gets into the marketplace. And buyers are always the next sellers, or they'll tell people. So we just take that long-term view in real estate. So many agents are looking for their next listing for tomorrow. But for me personally, I love the listing that's coming in 10 years' time. I love the one where you've got 10 years to build a relationship, and then you can then come and sell their property. So we're instilling that into our culture as well. And we've got two of our young up-and-coming young guns here today, one of our really good senior sales consultants, so Martin, Riley and Ollie. Martin's doing exceptionally well at the moment. Riley's been in real estate 12 months. He's gone through our internal traineeship. 21-year-old, he's gone into real estate, and now he's fully fledged salesperson. He's selling for 2 months on his own, and he's already listed a couple of $2.5 million properties and sold plenty and going extremely well. That's all based on buyer management. So he's just out there servicing buyers, just ringing them, how can we help you? And then it's just an attraction business that's happening. So as Bram said, it's just how do you build an attraction business? And it's by flipping it on its head and servicing people so that they become raving fans, and they just can't not call you to at least give you a go to sell their property when it comes up. And Ollie's been in now for 3 months, 4 months. and he's just accelerating. I mean, I give my own keys to Riley to sell my own property now, and Ollie's probably a month away from that as well. So it's all through buyer management. So yeah.
Good question. I think Tilan had also a question.
No?
No? All right. Someone else?
I had a few, but I didn't find them.
Eric?
Yeah, first, thanks, Alex, for sharing your story. I think it's great. What really interests me is the energy management of leading a business. And the reason for that is because I've seen in the newspaper, I've talked to other people, and actually last this week, talking to politicians as well. Productivity is sort of a big discussion topic at the moment. Do you think that your leadership style, sort of focusing on that energy management, really improves productivity?
Massively. I mean, it's amazing what now that I've got a little daughter, what the schooling system teaches and doesn't teach. It doesn't teach that sort of stuff, and it's not even really talked about in society too much. How do you get more out of your day? You go to a time management course, but how do you manage your energy levels? And everyone's on their iPhones all the time, and it's all being pushed at you. How do you control that so that you're controlling the world rather than it controlling you? And I'm not surprised why there's anxiety and depression and all of this in society because of that. And it's because depression tends to be when you're thinking in the past too much, and anxiety is thinking about the future too much. The people that are really happy are the ones that are in the now, and that's difficult. And it's really a challenge for society, I reckon, at the moment.
You might be onto something. It's a big problem. It's a good solution for a very big problem.
Yeah, I mean, we all feel better when you're not thinking about anything than now, aren't you? I mean, you're caught up in a moment, and that's when you feel your best. And that's what I'm trying to train myself to be, is always in the moment. And sometimes when I lose it, I actually literally imagine myself in a bubble with someone. And then, otherwise you get distracted and you're looking around and you're on your phone. I actually visualise a bubble and myself in that bubble with that person, so they are the only person in my eyesight at that given time. Otherwise, if I don't use these analogies, I'm like everyone else. You just start scattering off, chasing a possum into the parklands.